Thank you for being here with me. This week, I'm sharing my synthesis of a few of the focus topics in book 34 of my Book a Week series, Jospeh Campbell's Reflections on the Art of Living. Any moment of lifting or expanding our understanding of what we're a part of and what that implies about the source of our energy, it can connect us to humor. It can connect us to this, it's a relieved exhalation that comes out as a chuckle. And it becomes no wonder that Alan Watts would say that the dithering of anxiety becomes the dithering of laughter. Because that laughter feels like a relieved exhalation. And it feels like I am permitting my form to enjoy, to be entertained by the whole of what is involved in the human condition. The notes on the sheet of music of life that might be called good and that might be called bad, and all of the many in between, such that I can hear the greater song and enjoy each of the cadences, each of the climaxes toward the exulting achievement of triumph and toward the tragic opening of heartbreak alike. So now I also want to look at the micro level because I think that it can be enriching to share specific examples of where laughter, comedy can be cued in order to pave our pathways and really make our pathways more smooth toward relief and away from the reverberating impact of resistance to pain that causes the sensations of suffering. So I'm going to take an example that I work with every day. One of the ways that I make my my surrender from resistance most acute and vivid is by practicing fitness. So I'm going to talk about nutrition and exertion as it relates to this subject. Every day, I experience moments where my commitment to the nutrients and the caloric level that I've determined that I will maintain for the day and for the week becomes very challenging. And every day, accompanied by that, are moments of resistance or challenge with my exertion when I have prescribed 10 reps of a certain movement at a certain weight in my weight training, and the 8, 9, 10th rep are very, very challenging, and I feel burning, and I feel resistance, and I feel an explosive quality to what is happening in my cellular structure, and I could connect to that being a sensation that does not feel good. So I'm going to talk about those two examples. When those become acute, I notice what is happening in my physiological form. I notice that there is a more rapid heart rate, and my blood is pumping more quickly. I know what may happen next if I don't bring what is happening to my physiological form into consciousness and it remains un or subconscious. I know that that will spiral and it will lead to a point where what I have determined to be best for me, what I have determined to be aligned with my goals, is not driving my sensation of agency or choice in my subsequent moments. And I notice that I feel a tightening, a constriction. And this cues me to do what I call opening a folder, or it maybe just even touching a folder. And this folder that I'm referring to is just a metaphor. It's just a symbol. And it's like a filing cabinet, filing system in my mind and in my memory, where I have placed what I've come to understand into a folder and close that folder and put it into a filing cabinet. And so what that folder contains is my memory of why I've chosen to do what I'm doing. And in that folder is the data that I rely on. What I know is that the foods that I want, which are typically high carb and high fat, are not foods that will deliver the satisfaction that I may be deceiving myself into hoping they will deliver. It won't. And so that is a lie. There, I've already cued my laughter because I see that I see the cards that I've been dealt in human form. I see what is inevitable for me to experience in human form. And I see the trickery of my constraints in my physiology and how they would like to join hands with my ego and trick me into growing my ego. And there I cue the laughter. And I'm not laughing at my ego in a form of mockery. I invite my ego as any other element of my being as an inevitable element of my finite form. And that is the very essence of how my ego calms down. When I permit her to be. And I say to her, it's okay, it's okay. I see you. In that very moment of permittance is the key to her lowering her volume, her not needing to yell so loud to be heard. In a way, I've personified her such that I can wrap my arms around her and see why she might want to yell, and soothe her such that she not need to. And that's where the laughter is cued, because we can laugh together. Another cue that I think is very important with the cueing of laughter is wonder. Because with my facing the cards that I am dealt, I am facing who dealt me those cards. I'm facing my at one-ment with the origin of our energy, our source. I'm facing my maneuvering, my writing in finite form from the source of energy, from the infinite sacred all. And in so doing, I'm facing that at once these cards were dealt by me, to me. And I'm facing what I signed up for in coming into this body. And I'm saying to myself, howdy, oh, I see what I've done. I accept what I've done. I will permit myself to be being entertained by what I have signed up for here. And in that is this sense of wonder and awe at the enormous, mysterious value of all that I could not possibly see in finite form. Of all that becomes irrelevant to thought form, that is there for us to feel and to know at a deeper level beyond the thought form. So at once we may cue our wonder and our laughter to permit such relief. And now I want to wrap this back around to the tenderness in reminding us that this laughter, the quality of it through and through, is gentle. And I also want to add to that the following statement. If what I've presented here is triggering in any way, or if, let's say, the thought of humor being involved in this curriculum is triggering in any way, I expect that this may be due to the constricting quality of pain and suffering that is characteristic of many who are on the verge of rebirth and awakening. The character of rebirth is constriction, and that can be very painful. And I very much want to honor that right now. And I know that in that space, considering that I was there for many years, in that space, it could be incredibly antagonizing to imagine that anyone would laugh about this process. And I want to suggest that there's a paradox here, because those who might be most triggered by this thought might also be the individuals who are on the verge of the very permittance to this wonderment and the relief in that laughter that I'm suggesting here. Without further ado, I'm going to share a few selections that I'll read vocally here of the passages that are most prominent to me in this book by Jospeh Campbell, Reflections on the Art of Living. Enjoy.
Page 16. What you have to do, you do with play. Life is without meaning. You bring the meaning to it. And the meaning of life is whatever you ascribe it to be. Being alive is the meaning. Page 19. Life lives on lives. Our own life lives on the acts of other people. If you are life worthy, you can take it. What we are really living for is the experience of life, both the pain and the pleasure. The world is a match for us. We are a match for the world. Page 20. Opportunities to find deeper powers within ourselves come when life seems most challenging. Negativism to the pain and ferocity of life is negativism to life. We are not there until we can say, yeah, to it all. To take a righteous attitude toward anything is to denigrate it. Awe is what moves us forward. As you proceed through life, following your own path, birds will shit on you. Don't bother to brush it off. Getting a comedic view of your situation gives you spiritual distance. Having a sense of humor saves you. Where there is a way or path, it is someone else's path. You are not on your own path. If you follow someone else's way, you're not going to realize your potential. The goal of the hero trip down to the jewel point is to find those levels in the psyche that open, and finally open to the mystery of your self-being, Buddha consciousness, or the Christ. And that's the journey. It is all about finding that still point in your mind where commitment drops away. Page 24. Where you stumble, there lies your treasure. The very cave you're afraid to enter turns out to be the source of what you're looking for. The damned thing in the cave that was so dreaded has become the center. You find the jewel, and it draws you off. In loving the spiritual, you cannot despise the earthly. The purpose of the journey is compassion. When you have come past the pairs of opposites, you've reached compassion. The goal is to bring the jewel back to the world, to join the two things together. The separateness apparent in the world is secondary. Beyond that world of opposites is an unseen but experienced unity and identity in us all. Today, the planet is the only proper in-group. You must return with the bliss and integrate it. The return is seeing the radiance everywhere.